Live from the CBS 19 News studio, this is CBS 19 News at 6. Charlottesville News first.
A new report shedding light on how an Amtrak train crashed into a garbage truck near Crozet last month. UVA rethinking what is free speech, what is hate speech, and what they'll allow on grounds after the Unite the Right rally this summer. And the Wahoos taking on Georgia Tech tonight at the John Paul Jones Arena. We'll tell you what to expect from that big matchup. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Schutte. Tara Wheeler on assignment tonight. The NTSB released the preliminary report on the fatal Amtrak crash near Crozet last month, and it sheds new light on what happened. Our Tyler Kendall is live with details. Tyler?
Dan, I'm here back at the scene of the crash. Today, the NTSB released its preliminary report. It says that witnesses to the incident reported seeing the garbage truck enter into the crossing after the guardrails were already down. I spoke to someone that says that this happens all too often.
I've seen it, and everybody's seen it. The other crews, you see them go around the gates every day you work.
That's what a former Buckingham branch engineer said of seeing vehicles go around railroad crossing arms. This comes as today the preliminary report was released by the NTSB for the fatal train crash involving a garbage truck that happened last month in Crozet. It says that witnesses to the crash reported that the truck had entered the crossing after the gates were down. And that means that the driver of this truck would have needed to maneuver around these crossing arms in order to get onto the track. This is something that Yowell, who worked on the railroad for 40 years, says happens too often.
Oh, I can't give you the number of times I've seen them go around. I've seen them go around just as close as I am to you, and they look up at you. That's how close I come to hitting them.
The accident made national headlines when a chartered Amtrak train carrying Republican congressmen collided into a garbage truck, killing 28-year-old passenger Christopher Foley, who worked for Time Disposal Waste Management.
Locomotive cannot come off the track and hit a truck. They got to be on the track. Doesn't anybody know how the engineer feels when there's a fatality or he's in an accident? It'll last the rest of his life.
The investigation is still ongoing and no probable cause has been confirmed. The report analyzed information from a front-facing camera on the train, which showed that the gates were down while the truck was on the crossing. I spoke to the Albemarle County Commonwealth attorney who said that he will not comment if his office is going to press charges against the driver because it's still an ongoing investigation. I also spoke to Buckingham Branch, which operates the line, and they said the same. Live in Crozet, Tyler Kendall, CBS 19 News.
Tyler, thank you. The UVA Medical Center alerting hundreds of patients their personal information may have been compromised. The private health information of nearly 1,900 people possibly viewed by an unauthorized third party. Officials at the health system say the personal information was viewable from May 2015 to December of 2016. The FBI assisting with the investigation, and one person has been arrested. It does not appear the information was shared in any way. Patients are urged to check their health insurance statements for anything unusual.
Temperatures are slowly falling off this evening after topping out at a record-breaking 82 degrees across the tarmac at Cho. That ties the warmest temperature ever recorded in the month of February, and temperatures now checking in at 77 at Cho, 77 as well in Culpeper and Fredericksburg, and 75 in Louisa. Skyline Network does show a few more clouds, especially from across the parking lot at Centera Martha Jefferson Hospital. Some darker clouds. And that is because we are looking at a little bit of rain across the Shenandoah Valley, about to move over the top of those of us in western Madison and Greene counties near Graves Mill. Just to the west of you guys, it's raining like cats and dogs along 340 just north of US 33. And all of that is going to move across the northern portion of Madison County near Syria and eventually near Culpeper over the next half hour to 45 minutes. There's another shower here just to the south of Stanton along Interstate 81 and Highway 11, and that will also move over the Blue Ridge Mountains. Could get some of us in Crozet and the northern half of Albemarle County on the wetter side over the next hour and a half or so. But if you're looking for bigger rain, it's eventually in the forecast. We'll let you know what to expect, and also some big temperature changes expected over the next 24 hours. We'll highlight that in just a bit. Dan?
David, thank you. The tragedy of the white nationalist rally that took place last summer in Charlottesville, August 12th, forcing a lot of people and institutions to rethink how they handle free speech, which at times includes hate speech. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that hate speech is protected. UVA is now discussing ways to better manage rallies and protests from outside groups who might want to use university facilities. Take a look.
This display of hate speech on the UVA campus last summer shocked the university, Charlottesville, and the nation. Tiki torch-carrying white males march across the campus, shouting racial slurs against African Americans and Jewish people. That display has now forced the university to rethink how it can better manage free speech on the campus from groups not affiliated with the school. According to published reports, the UVA Dean's Working Group is talking about ways to make sure speech is protected, but so are individuals on campus. Best-selling author and constitutional rights lawyer John Whitehead says there is legal precedent for it.
The courts have held that universities are limited public forums. You can impose reasonable time, place, manner restrictions. In fact, in 2005, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in this area upheld Maryland regulations that were very, very similar, yes.
No KKK, no fascist, USA!
But he warns students who don't want what they call hate speech on their campus, which has happened on the West Coast, beware. All it does is invite more government interference.
Yes, if that guy's on the street corner and he can shoot his mouth off, and I don't agree, I go out here and shoot my mouth off. However, if we start limiting what he can say, it limits me, and we allow the government to encroach more on free speech. So the mantra we need is counter free speech that you don't like with more free speech. Stand up for your rights.
Rick Young, CBS 19 News.
A UVA spokesperson emailed CBS 19 News with their proposal. It says, in part, the proposed revisions are focused on the activities of outside individuals or groups. This does not include university students, faculty, staff, and official university organizations, and are designed to provide a framework for unaffiliated individuals and groups to peacefully assemble and engage in constitutionally permissible speech at the university. The university says it hopes to adopt the proposal later this spring. A 2009 graduate of UVA and current first year at the Darden School of Business has her own startup company, and it's receiving very generous investment. Kimberly Diaz, a co-founder of One Tilt, it's a nonprofit based in D.C. It focuses on reimagining how we train managers in education in order to keep the best teachers. Through her 8-year experience in education, she's noticed minorities leaving their jobs at higher rates. She says they don't feel supported by their bosses, and it's not just a D.C. issue.
We're based in D.C., but we see the problem we're trying to solve is not unique to D.C. It happens everywhere. It happens right here in Charlottesville. And so while most of our trainings happen in D.C., we are looking to expand, and we're going to even do some workshops here in Charlottesville later in the spring.
One Tilt received a $100,000 grant from the New Schools Venture Fund. That's an organization funded by big-name philanthropists like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. A local businesswoman will receive an award for her community service at this year's Quadruplicity Conference. Each year, the Q Award, given out to honor a woman in the Charlottesville Chamber of Commerce. It recognizes someone who inspires others through things like community service and leadership. This year's winner is Shelley Murphy, the Director of Program Services at Piedmont Housing Alliance. Murphy hopes it will encourage others to make a difference in the community like she tries to.
I support the conference a lot. A lot of friends that I know go there, and you know, it's a women's conference and it's outstanding. You know, it values the women and brings voices to women that are doing things in the community. So I was ecstatic, you know, to find out that I had won this award.
The Quadruplicity Conference takes place on February 28th. It's at the Doubletree Hotel in Albemarle County. The Virginia Festival of the Book announcing a keynote speaker for its upcoming events this year. Dr. Ibram Kendi's lecture will be sponsored by several groups, including UVA. Kendi wrote Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America. The book has received numerous awards and nominations, including National Book Award in 2016. The lecture set for March 23rd. One elementary school in Charlottesville helping to train the next generation of TV reporters. CBS 19's Val Thompson visited Greenbrier Elementary to spend an afternoon with the Newscast Club.
Hey guys, what's it doing?
That's school librarian Katie Plunkett, or as the kids call her,
Miss Plunkett. She's actually the one who directs this whole thing.
She not only directs the newscast group, she also created it new this year.
It's been a lot of fun. We have a director, a producer, and a reporter, and a camera person.
You take your footage and you put it on the computers, and then you load it on this editing software. You can make like backgrounds, and you can make music, and you can like beginning and starts, and you can make text.
So what types of stories do they do as elementary school reporters?
We interview Mr. Green.
They do stories about their teachers, asking them some hard-hitting questions, of course.
I asked her how her grades are going, and she says they're going good.
By the end of the school year, they'll compile all the stories into one newscast and share it.
I think it was actually pretty much easier than I thought.
In Charlottesville, Val Thompson, CBS 19 News.
Easier than you thought, huh? All right. Well, PVCC students now have a way to express school spirit in the form of a new mascot, the Panther, introduced to students and faculty today. Student Government Association President Michael Apgar says students chose the Panther and hope the mascot will help those who attend PVCC feel a little more connected.
Even though we're lacking the size and the big stadiums and the amount of people, this is still a way that we can sort of get closer together as a school.
Students also voting on a name and gender for the Panther mascot. The results of that will be revealed in the near future. Well, seems like it's been a while, but the UVA men's basketball team back in action tonight. Still to come, we'll have a live look ahead to the game from the John Paul Jones Arena and talk about this upcoming matchup with Georgia Tech. David.
The forecast in one word, chilly. Oh yeah, you'll notice the difference tomorrow and Friday from today and yesterday. I'll let you know how much colder we expect the end of the work week to be after the break.
Next on CBS 19 News at 11, local Democrats deciding how to nominate just one of four, hoping to take on Congressman Garrett in the midterms.
Daycares in Virginia adopting a new security measure to screen job applicants.
And see how voters ranked the modern American presidents, including Presidents Trump and Obama. CBS 19 News at 11 starts right now. Next on CBS 19 News at 11, the Pantops area of Charlottesville could be getting a makeover.
Property owners will finally hear if the Atlantic Coast pipeline construction can happen on their land.
And researchers at UVA getting one step closer to curing Alzheimer's disease. CBS 19 News at 11 starts right now.
Students from Parkland, Florida say the March on Washington this weekend was just the beginning, and a Virginia senator says it's already working. In the March for Our Lives, nearly 5,000 people were registered to vote, many of them millennials who have never voted before. The group is already working on their next steps, including a call for town halls nationwide April 7th, a second national walkout on April 20th, and a voter registration campaign to register teens before the midterm elections in November. Virginia Senator Tim Kaine says Congress already building on the work of these students.
But the activism of these young people is actually changing the equation. Just the two things that we put into the budget bill the other night couldn't have been done had these youngsters not advocated for them.
That spending bill approved by Congress last week included minor improvements to background checks for gun sales. Although Congress was in recess during the march, the students feel their voices are being heard. A University of Virginia professor says the key to preventing another school shooting is recognizing warning signs beforehand. Today, parents and teachers came to the Carver Rec Center to talk about measures that should be taken to ensure safety in schools. Dewey Cornell says the answer is not arming teachers, but rather recognizing the warning signs of violence.
The answer is not to fortify our schools, but to help young people and others who are distressed before their problems escalate into violence.
He says gun violence is not new to the Charlottesville community and many communities, but by implementing threat assessment programs and creating good support systems in schools, violence could be avoided.
In a push for bipartisanship, Virginia Republicans are softening their opposition to expanding the state's Medicaid program. House Speaker Kurt Cox sent a letter to Democratic Governor Ralph Northam today, saying his caucus is willing to begin a dialogue on health care. Cox still says Republicans will oppose a straightforward expansion of the program, which publicly funds health care needs for the poor and disabled. He says any discussion must include work requirements and other reforms favored by the GOP. Gun control legislation appears to be going nowhere in the General Assembly. The House panel voted down a bill to ban bump stocks. The party line vote likely dooms the prospects of similar legislation. The gunman in the Las Vegas shooting used bump stocks to carry out his deadly rampage. Richmond area resident Courtney Carroll was at that massacre. She gave testimony during the panel hearing.